very proud to have been courageous and have vision enough to put this on. Matt was very right when he says that I inherited this, but I inherited the most amazing team of RDA Orana workers, and I congratulate the RDA Orana committee for having that vision and courage to move forward when, as Ernesto says, they saw the opportunity well before anyone else was seeing it. So I also congratulate the speakers from yesterday and also the speakers coming today who have the sophistication to have seen the issues as they are, the opportunity that we can't hardly grasp and get our head around, and not to have descended the discussion into a political day-to-day debate, but one of leadership, taking the region to a more equitable playing field for the first time in our history. So thank you very much to all the speakers. I look forward very much to today's speakers. We're very proud of the lineup and the quality of what's going to be presented today and yesterday, and we hope that we can do something into the future that will position the region to take leadership in what we don't even know is out there in the future for us. So thank you once again, and I look forward to today.
Thanks, Felicity. And look, again, keep those tweets coming in from Mudgee and Burke. We've got live streaming going to Mudgee and Burke as well. Well, yesterday we had some very serious technology talks, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But we had some very serious people, so we thought we'd take it up a notch a bit today. We thought we'd get a former aerobics instructor who's been a centrefold for a national magazine. So when he comes on stage, you'll go back a few years, you can actually just picture him as a centrefold. So we've got someone who's spent 14 years as an educator, a maths and science teacher. And obviously from that education background, he found that he had a natural affinity with technology. And I think from the education background, it really helps convey a message. He's now gone on to be really one of Australia's probably best known technology commentators, and certainly a very trusted technology commentator. You'll see him regularly on a variety of Channel 7 shows, Sunrise, Today Tonight, Better Homes and Gardens. He appears regularly in various media in terms of press media, and 14 radio stations across the nation you'll hear him on regularly, including shows like the Tony Delroy Show, and Tony Delroy is particularly selective of his guests. So, he's got a great reputation and a great name in Australia. One of the great things that this next guest does, one of the things that I'm always most impressed with whenever I see him, is that he takes very complicated technology concepts and breaks them down to a level that the average layman can understand, but more importantly, the average layman can see themselves using in a consumer world. You hear some technology people talk about very complicated concepts, and the average person has no idea how that applies to their day-to-day life. And what this guest does is really breaks it down and says, this is how you would use these various complicated technologies in your average day-to-day life. And that's where people, I think, really feel an affinity or feel a connection with this particular guest. Most importantly, this guest makes it really cool to be a nerd. And I think that's one thing that people involved in technology often suffer from. They're seen as nerds, but this person has made it cool to be a nerd. So you know him as the loud shirt-wearing Gadget guy. Please make him welcome, Pete Blasina.
I'm not sure, Matt, whether I should do this dressed or undressed. Okay. Now, you have to take an oath that if the technology stops working at any point, it doesn't go out of this room, that the Gadget guy's technology didn't work. Really today, I want to talk about a couple of things. I'm often asked to talk about social media, and in the 50-odd minutes I have allotted to me, it would be impossible to cover it in any detail. I will get to it because it's an interesting development for small to medium-sized business. The things that I'd like to talk about are really what's happening with the web. And I guess the point of today is very much, and yesterday, is very much about high-speed broadband. And I think we need to kind of look at it from a couple of different directions, and hopefully I'll spur your thinking. Since Tim Berners-Lee discovered that we needed an addressing system for the internet, and we ended up with the WWWs, The internet has just grown fantastically. Most people aren't aware that on the 6th of June last year, we moved from IPv4 to IPv6 because we ran out of addresses. We literally had no more addressing ability with the internet. And we had to go from what Tim Berners-Lee thought would last for centuries in terms of web addresses. We had to go from billions to trillions. And it was a seamless transition. It worked extremely well. And the internet has just grown so quickly. I mean, this is an infographic that talks about an internet minute. And in the next minute, Amazon will transact $83,000 worth of business. It's just phenomenal when you think about it. If we go and look at applications, 477,000 apps between the Apple App Store and Google Play. 477,000. Then we've got 100,000 tweets, and courtesy of what's happening today, the next minute we'll have, I'm sure, more than 100,000. But no one could have even guessed that or foretold the dimension of the internet and what it would mean to our lives. 204 million emails. In the next minute, Flickr, 20 million photo views, and 3,000 photos will be uploaded into the cloud that Flickr has. And if we keep going, no, you're not allowed to. Come back, YouTube. YouTube, the second biggest search engine in the world. Last week, it hit the phenomenal number of a billion views a month. A billion views a month. 1.3 million video views in the next minute. 30 hours of video will be uploaded, and with Facebook, 6 million Facebook views and 277,000 logins. So the internet really is quite remarkable in terms of what's available, and it's only going to get bigger and faster. Cisco, at their event that they had in Melbourne a month ago, said that by 2018, 90% of internet traffic will be video. That's going to take huge bandwidth, and video is going to be the biggest part of interaction in the digital economy. So, what's driven this? The ability to look at the internet, to do things on the internet, to do a variety of different things that are web-based, on a variety of different devices. We've really moved into that smartphone, smart device area, and one of the reasons we needed a new internet addressing protocol. So we are seeing a change in both the software and the hardware that again has surprised. If you look at the Galaxy S4, which will be released in Australia next week, if you look at that phone, it's obviously a smartphone, but in the United States, it's being released with an 8-core processor. 8-core processor. Now, the Galaxy S3, the HTC, variety of devices that have multi-core processors have more computing power than the average desktop computer had in Australian homes just 3 years ago. I mean, that's an enormous amount of computing power. Tablets, in many ways, I think there's a revolution that's happening in terms of the technology we're using. Tablets really have changed the dynamic of what we do with technology. I'll talk a bit more about that later. So essentially, I guess it's what interests people the most, and the thing I'm asked the most about is, what's the next big thing? And of course, if I knew what the next big thing was, I'd be on my boat in the Whitsundays. Thank you. The crew would be coming up with breakfast, and I'd be living off the earnings of the next big thing. Of course, I'm here in Dubbo, so obviously I don't know what the next big thing is. But maybe it's here. Maybe we're going to discover it today. Is that right, Felicity? Yeah, okay. Just very quickly, most people know me as the Gadget guy. I appear on television, do radio, but I also have a business. It's called the Gadget Group. It employs 16 people. 3 of those were employed in the past month. The business is doing quite well, but we used to be publishers. We publish magazines. We now create content, online content, and we still do custom publishing. But I've been a publisher for 25 years. So I run a business. I know what's involved in running a small business today. And of course, there's the Gadget Guy website. And eventually, our little business will grow, and we'll put our business on an island. I think not. So where are we? I mentioned earlier revolutions, and in fact, I think we are in an information revolution now. And that's crossed over with another revolution, which was the communication revolution. And the interesting thing about that is that it's been driven by this accelerating rate of technological change. We're seeing technology accelerate so quickly now. We see products superseded. We see the internet grow at an exponential rate. We see technology, and I'll talk a little bit about the Internet of Things in a minute, but we're seeing technology driving change, societal change. The way we run our businesses has had to change and will have to change very, very, very soon. Now, where you get a picture of where these changes are happening is the Consumer Electronics Show. Every January in Las Vegas is a show that consumers, while it's called the Consumer Electronics Show, consumers are not allowed in. It's a show where there are the manufacturers, there are the vendors, and there are retailers. There's a lot of business transacted at the show because the big companies are showing where their technology is going over the next 12 months, and there's a lot of business transacted there by the retailers. Now, for the past several years, what's been really interesting is that the television manufacturers have been telling us that the television is going to be in the connected home that will exist in this decade. It's going to be driven, and the centrepiece of it is the television. And what became really obvious at this year's Consumer Electronics Show is that the television actually limits that. And it's mobile devices that are the real stars in this. The smartphone overtook the television as being the device that would link all the elements of the connected home. And the television kind of sank into the background. We're still going to see smart TVs. We're going to see almost all the televisions that are available in store from about June on for the rest of this year are going to be called smart TVs. They connect to a smart hub, and of course you have to have a girl in a short skirt to sell them. I don't know why they do that. We're going to use gestures. We're going to be able to talk to our television. Samsung last Wednesday